Yo, and howdy, and welcome to episode 40 of my Wurm Unlimited tutorial series. This episode is going to be on weaponsmithing, and in particular, this episode is going to be focused on the swords, the 3 different types of swords that you can make in Wurm Online and Wurm Unlimited. Before we progress to that though, let me ask you a question right here, right at the beginning, before I even start doing my other normal introductions. Here's a question to engage you, okay, because the next several episodes, I won't say how many, are going to be on the different types of weapons. So here's my question. How many different types of weapons, melee weapons that is, I'm not talking about ranged bows, and I'm not talking about siege weapons, I'm talking about just handheld melee weapons. How many different types of melee weapons, and I'm talking about the different classes, so like swords, axes, to give you a couple to start with. How many different types of weapons do you believe there are in Wurm? Okay, so there's a question. When I get to the last episode, I will see what your answers were. Last episode regarding weapons, that is. Okay, so let's start. Why have I started this episode by facing the loom? Well, there's a good reason for that. Basically, Rainstorm pointed out something that didn't even occur to me. As many things in this life do not occur to me, this particular one didn't either. When you read about the floor loom, which we did in the tailoring episode, when you read it in Wurmpedia, it mentions that its properties are it's a decoration. So when I read that, I assumed, and you know what they say about assuming, well, there's different things people will say, some are rude and some aren't. But I assumed that the floor loom would be best made of cedar wood. Rainstorm corrected me though. She mentioned that surely oak is the best wood for the floor loom because it's actually a tool. And you know what? She's actually 100% correct. So well done, Rainstorm. How did I deduce that Rainstorm was correct? Well, there's a very easy way of finding out how she was exactly correct, and that is, okay, now I made this cedarwood storage bin weeks ago, and if we check it, you know, even though it's only 2 quality, yes, I know I've been going around imping, but that's all the stuff around the forge, and you've seen that mess. I'll get to this stuff up here for improving, but if we observe that it's a really low quality and yet there's no damage, okay, so we know cedarwood is correct for that. But if we go to this floor loom, which, let's face it, I only made yesterday, or the day before, day before yesterday, if we check it, excuse me, sorry, you'll notice that we have damage on it already. That's simply because it is a tool. As you use it, it accumulates damage. Whereas if it was a decoration or just an item that you can use, like the bins, it wouldn't have had no damage. So that's how we can determine that the best wood for making the floor loom is not cedar wood, it is oaken wood. So I'm sorry about the mistake. I mean, on a game with this complex, I couldn't hope to get everything right first attempt, for goodness sake, but at least I'm telling you the correction a couple of episodes later. Sometimes I'll do it in the next episode, sometimes it'll take more than that before one of you out there steps out the darkness, out the shadows, and tells me about something that I was wrong with. Which, you know what, is fantastic whenever one of you do that. So thank you very much, Rainstorm. Now we all know that it should be out of oaken wood, not cedar wood. So those of you out there that have followed me and are cursing me at this moment, saying Rainstorm, Gamester, you fool. You've now got me a loom which is of the wrong wood. What am I going to do with it? Can I stick it in the forge? No, don't worry about doing that. Basically use it till it self-destructs. So basically when the damage gets to 100%, it'll go poof and it'll disappear. It'll cease to exist. That's what I'm imagining, but I'll do that little test as we go along. So there we go. Don't worry if you made the cedarwood loom by mistake. Just use it until it gets to 100% damage, and then by rights I believe it should be gone. We'll see anyway as I get mine to 100. You will be using your loom a lot and it will get damaged, so don't worry about that. Okay, so there we go. I've cleared up that loom and corrected myself thanks to Rainstorm. The next thing I want to mention to you is another observation. You know I make these observations and it's only to try and help you as we go along. Yes, it would have been excellent if I could have fitted it into the farming episode, all these observations about the bird that tweets to show the crop cycle has moved on, and the acacia bug that makes the bug sound at night, which tells us the crop cycle at night has moved on. Well, here's another observation in regards to that. If you have no crops planted, you will not ever hear a bird in the day and you'll never hear a bug at the night. It only makes them sounds once you have at least one crop field planted. Then you will get the bird during the day and the acacia bug at night. Okay, so there we go, that's cleared that up as well. Right, let's get over here, because this episode is after all supposed to be about weaponsmithing and swords. But, and there's always a but, you'll know that by now. Before we get to that, I just want to mention this. Some of you may have noticed this. I know a lot of you are observant and you would have noticed this. My supreme pickaxe. Now, I wish I could have said I made this, but I didn't. Rainstorm made it. And how sweet of her that she gave it to me. She doesn't like mining, so, and because I'm the chief miner here on this world, in this world of ours, she gifted it to me. So let's tell you a little thing that I know about the supreme pickaxe. You'll notice you can make rare items, you can make supreme items, and you can also make, I can't remember what the third one is called, fantastic or fantasy, something like that. There is 3 types of rare items. They all have different colours. So if you drop them on the ground, so if I drop this on the ground, you'll see that the supreme, like when I've been dropping the supreme dirt, it has a blue glow to it. For the rare items, I believe they have a unique colour, and for the fantasy ones, or whatever they're called, I don't know what the third one is called, I can't remember, they have their own colour as well. So just to quickly though talk about what I'd noticed the benefits with the supreme over the rare, for example. If this was a rare pickaxe, okay, if I bring up my mining skill, where is my mining skill? There it is. Now, with my mining skill at 5756, if I had a normal, bog standard normal pickaxe, I would expect that my top quality ore, iron ore, that I could mine, or rock shards, would be 57.56. If, however, my pickaxe was a rare one, not supreme, rare, it would allow me to mine at least 1 point above that. So the ore and rock shards I'd be mining would be 58.56. Now my observation with this supreme pickaxe is that when I mine, I can mine 60.56. So there you go. There's showing you a difference between supreme and rare. There are other benefits, I know that for a fact, with rares and supremes, but I'm only going to talk about the ones I've personally observed. With Wurm Online, you'll notice I've got rare pickaxes, so I know it gives you at least 1 above, maybe 2, but I think it's 1 above your actual skill. With supreme, I've noticed straight away it's 3 above. So there's the bonus of proving that the supreme is better than the rare it's an improvement on the rare. It's more rare, if you like. So there we go. I'm not going to dwell on that any longer. Just some observations that I wanted to keep you updated with. Right, so let's actually start what this episode is supposed to be about. Okay, let's open up my cart. I don't know why, but I'll open it up. Yeah. My forge has gone out. Dang it. I'm sure I just refueled it before I started recording. Anyway, let's just quickly fire that back up. And hopefully the stuff won't take long to heat up, because it was just burning. You see, it's all the waffling I do. By the time Treebeard Jr. finishes talking about all he's attempting to do, things go out. Day turns to night. What can I say? Many occurrences occur. That's how long I can talk for. But if anything's worth talking about, it's worth talking about it in great detail. So, let's get this forge up and running. Right. Okay, so, oh, now look at that. That's just typical. So, in the forge, another observation. If your forge goes out, literally 60 seconds later, your ores will cool down. If you put them in your cart, however, into, say, rafts, they will stay hot for hours. How do I know that? Because when I cook food and I leave it in too long cooking, it takes hours for me to be able to eat it, because it's, well, not hours, but it takes about 30 minutes or an hour before I can actually eat it. So when you put ores and stuff in your cart, in the rafts, they stay hotter for ages longer, ages. When they're in the forge, they instantly nearly cool down, which is not great, but there you go, there's a warning to you, so you'll know about that in the future. So let's just get the forge reformatted the way I like it. Okay, remember, so we start with our lowest qualities and we jump up, oh, we don't jump up 10s. Yeah, we do. So we jump up in 10s, increments of 10, with our different ores separated out. Notice I've got to 60 now. I'm getting there slow but surely. It takes time. Right, okay, so we're going to start by making the first of the swords. The first sword, of course, is the short sword. Before I make that, let's talk about the actual skill though, weaponsmithing. So if we go into our skills list, and if we expand smithing, we're talking about weaponsmithing. Now, you'll see straight away, I've got mine to 25. I do like to save doing the skills and improving them in the videos to show you. But for weaponsmithing, I needed to get my sickle. I needed to get my sickle and my butchering knife, my carving knife. I wanted to get them up in quality. As you can see, I've got them to 40. Because they're important items that you use, and you know, I believe the quality level of them can affect, for example, with the sickle, the getting more frequently higher quality level sprouts. So that's why I wanted to get them up, but in doing so I got my weapon skill up. I like to try and tell you, don't I, with each skill, the best way, the easiest way to get that skill up. Well, with weaponsmithing, the best way to get it up is by making carving knives and improving them. Now, I decided for weaponsmithing, if you read it on Wurmpedia, it tells you that weaponsmithing is one of the slowest skills to improve in the game. So at a later date, not too long into the future, I'm going to do an episode on showing you in more detail how to get the weaponsmithing skill up, and how it all works, you know, with juggling with lots of items and improving a certain skill. So I'll get to that in a later episode, just to make it a bit more clarified and a bit easier for you to realise even the slow skills have tricks to getting them up nicely. And trust me, that does take time doing that, and so does the armour ones, but we'll get there. Okay, let's look. Is this glowing yet? Yep, it is. I've waffled long enough. I've waffled this ore into a glowing state. Now, you didn't even believe that was possible, did you? But I proved it is. Okay, so let's then make our short sword, because that's the first sword we want to start with. Let's get this window a bit smaller. Okay, so we're going to bring up the crafting window, and we'll bring up the recipe window. And so we need to do the blade first, which is a small anvil and the iron lump. So there we go, let's grab our small anvil. Let's now add the short sword, and let's select the blade, because remember, when you're doing the components, it fits under, is it under tool parts or weapon parts? Let's have a look. Oh, here we go, under weapon blades. So we want the short sword blade. Okay, so we'll create one of them. Again, just to mention, don't worry about doing loads of blade heads or blades for the or weapon heads. These skills will go up. I mean, it's totally up to you. I mean, one objective that I've made for myself in this Wurm Unlimited is I'm going to get every single skill I can to 100, and that includes these. But I'm not going to worry about that for now, nor should you. So there we go, we've got our blade. We now need, if we go down here and look at the short sword, we need a handle. So luckily up here I have some handles. Notice there's a rear handle. I'm not going to use that on the short sword. I'm going to save that for a different weapon. I might be able to use that on my favourite weapon, which we will get to. For now, I'm just going to use one of these. Okay, so there we are. We've got the handle, we've got the blade. Let's now add the short sword to the crafting window. Okay, so there we are. Let's now create the short sword. We got a 61% chance, and everything we do, of course, is going to put our weaponsmithing up. So let's do it. And there we go. We have ourselves a short sword. Now, let's see. What was I going to tell you about the short sword? The smallest type of sword. It's the fastest of all the swords, and it deals cutting and piercing damage. Now, remember in Wurm that all the different types of creatures, monsters, all of them have different weapons they are more vulnerable to. So the short sword has the cutting and piercing damage. So you could perhaps look up in Wurmpedia. Well, I'm going to do an episode on the creatures. I told you this previously. I'll do it at some point. But for now, if you're curious, look up the creatures, the different creatures, and you'll see that they're all more vulnerable to different types of damage. So there you go, with the short sword, you're going to be going for creatures that are vulnerable to cutting and piercing damage. The attack speed of the short sword is 3 seconds. The parry rate for the short sword is high, and clearly it is a one-handed wielded weapon. So just to make sense on that, if I bring up our window, what I'll do is I'll drop that one on the ground, because it's a starter weapon. We can't improve it, so we definitely just want to discard it. So here we go, we'll just simply drop it on the ground in my usual messy style. I only do that because this is a game. I want to make very clear to everyone, in the real world there's no way that I'd be a litter bug. All my life I always put my litter in the bin, because not only would it kill wildlife, it also makes areas and places look disgusting. So I only do that out of jest, just simply because I'm playing a game, and I realise this is not the real world. So just to clarify that. Okay, let's equip our short sword. Yeah, I know it's really low quality. I'll get to imping them. I'm glad I brought up this window though, because let's show you my armour. Oh, check that out. Look at this. All of it now is at quality level. Well, I know I got that a bit higher, but it's all at quality level 40. All my cloth armour that we made. Did you get yours to 40 yet? Of course you don't have to, no rush. But if I can do it in a matter of just half an hour, you can most certainly do it. and that will give me now a much better level of protection when we get to the fighting episode. So there we are, got my cloth armour up. I'll do the same with the weapons that I make, but off camera. I'm not going to waste your time with that. Let's leave that there for now. Right, okay, moving on then. Time to make ourselves a longsword. So, let's bring up the longsword and see what we need. Okay, so the longsword is here. And we need the large anvil and an iron lump. So we can put the small anvil back. And we got our iron lump. Let's now add the longsword. And now let's add... Oh, why did I have to park the cart so close? It's got its big rear end in my view again. Right, okay, I think I can see it there. We'll add the anvil. Okay, so we got our iron lump, we got the large anvil. Let's now find... Is it the blade we need? Longsword blade. There we go, under weapons blades. That's funny, because I'm sure I didn't see that under weapons blades when I checked with the short sword. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because I've got the large anvil. Yeah, that's why. Because we're now using the large anvil, we're seeing different weapons and different items. So we select the longsword blade. I just noticed something interesting. For the two... Oh, we'll get there. Right, so longsword blade. There we are. Let's now try and create the longsword blade. Oh, okay. Well, here you are. That one's cooled down. It's only searing. But that doesn't matter to us, does it? Because I've got you into good habits. We always keep 2 in the forge. So when one cools down, we just switch it over. And there we go. Off we go. No delay. Click create. I think this is going to start to use a big chunk. Yeah, there you go. That used 2.90. So you're starting to chew into more iron as you get to the bigger weapons. That's the first observation. Okay, so now we can move on to making the actual sword. So I'm going to presume... Oh no, let's not presume. I'm going to guess that it's a handle. It's strange that it's not there. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that's strange that it doesn't list how it normally does. Here we go, longsword there. So is it a handle? Yeah, so we need a handle again. Now, the thing is, do I use my rare handle for the longsword or the two-handed sword? You tell me. What should I use it for? The longsword? Oh, okay. Let's try it with that then. Okay, so let's now add the longsword. There we go. Let's see if we can make a rare. Oh, mind you, no. I take that. I retract that. I already said to you I want to use that for my see if I can use it for my favourite weapon. If I can't, it's too bad. Okay, let's just grab a normal handle. Okay, and let's create our longsword. Okay, we now have a longsword. Okay, so with the longsword, let's give you the specifications of that. The longsword attack speed is 4 seconds. Remember, with the short sword it was 3 seconds. With the longsword it's 4 seconds. The damage type is cutting and piercing, so the same as the short sword. The parry rate is high, same as the short sword. And again, wielding it is a one-hander, so again the same as the short sword. Except there is one difference with the long sword, and that is that it can be used to chop down trees and bushes, and you can use that method of chopping down trees and bushes to get your longsword skill to 20. On the epic servers in Wurm Online, it will only get you to 11. But on the classic servers and in Wurm Unlimited, you can equip the longsword and chop down trees and bushes to get your skill in longswords to 20. So there we are, interesting little fact for you. Okay, now what I want to do is I'm going to quickly switch to the Wurmpedia and read the description on longswords, because I believe there is a little bit of additional information. So here's the description from Wurmpedia. A long and slender sword. A type of sword larger and slower than the short sword, but faster and smaller than the two-handed sword. It can be wielded in one hand and is better at parrying than other types of weapons such as mauls and axes. The quality level of the handle plays a role in the success rate when crafting. A failed attempt will lower quality level of the handle and damages the blade. So there we go. I think I've mentioned all that I wanted to with regards to the longsword. So what we'll do now, we will move on. Okay, let's put that in the cart. I'll improve that later. Next, we're going to make a two-handed sword. So let's go into here. And I'm going to do just sword. I've got to find it. I've never found the two-handed sword. Oh, it's called a huge sword. In Wurmpedia, it calls it a two-handed sword. So for the more observant of you, notice that when you want to craft it, you're looking for huge. So we want the iron. So large anvil and iron lump again. And this is going to use up a chunk of our iron, but we're not bothered. Okay, so we have the iron. Let's add the huge sword blade. Let's add the large anvil. And let's find the sword blades and huge sword blade. Okay, let's create one of them. Going to bite a chunk out of our iron. There we go. Nearly double, no, one extra weight, 1 extra kilogram than a longsword. But there we are, we have our blade. Let's put the iron back. We won't be needing that for a while. Okay, so here we have the blade. We now need, let's see, where is the huge... Oh, here we are. It now reverts to calling it a two-handed sword. So we need a handle and the blade. So we'll grab a handle. We'll now add the two-handed sword. And there we go, two-handed sword. Let's now create one of them. Yep, of course it is getting more difficult. Yeah, we're down to 22%. You see, it gets a lot more difficult. But it doesn't matter, because even the failures are giving us fantastic skill ups. It really is all good. So I'll just keep trying, because it does no harm whatsoever. Yeah, sure, it's caused a little damage, but not enough to destroy. And there we go. We've got ourselves now a two-handed sword. Let's give you the specifications for the two-handed sword. First of all, a short description from Wurmpedia. A large, heavy sword almost as tall as a 10-year-old child. And that, I believe, was the favourite weapon of all the Vikings. I mention that simply because, of course, this game is from a Norse country. So there we go. There's our two-handed sword. Attack speed is 5 seconds. But if you use aggressive mode in fighting, and we'll get to the fighting episode, don't worry, but that's another episode and it's a good one. If you use aggressive mode, it's 4 seconds. If you use any other mode, it's 5 seconds, the attack speed for the two-handed sword. The damage type, the same as the other swords, it's cutting and piercing. The parry rate is high, the same as the other swords. But the difference with this one, of course, is that wielding it will require 2 hands. So that means you will not be able to use the shield. You will only be able to use the two-handed weapon. But of course, you're going to be doing much more damage. So again, for now, what we'll do, we'll put that in the cart. Okay, now I'm going to read Wurmpedia notes on the two-handed sword, and then we can call it there. Which is a good job, because there goes the alarm. I only thought this was going to be a 10-minute episode, but for goodness sake, it's Treebeard Jr. You expect much more than that. Okay, so here's the notes from Wurmpedia. Previously, wielding this sword was not feasible when compared to the longsword and large shield alternative, which offered superior defense and similar damage. However, due to changes to both weapon damage and body control, two-handed weapons are now much more viable, sporting a fairly high parry rate and absolutely colossal damage at even low skill levels. However, weapon quality is of key importance with this weapon, as the damage and accuracy fallout on huge weapons is indeed huge at lower quality grades. Two-handed weapon skill can be raised by woodcutting until level 20 on the classic servers. On the epic cluster, this is curved to approximately 11. So again, it's talking about what we spoke about with the longsword. You can use it for cutting down trees. I'm not sure about bushes, it doesn't mention them, but I'm going to presume bushes. Oh, there I go, presuming again. So you can use it to cut down trees to get your skill in two-handed swords to 20. So there we go. Wherever you are in the world, God bless you, and keep every last one of you safe, and have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me for another episode. Goodbye.